Good evening. Hello. It's Melinda from Scrapbooking Sorry I didn't make it last night. Internet. Oh, really? Seriously lately? Even my TV wouldn't work yesterday. Weird. As people are just coming in, I popped up a post and asked what someone wanted me to play with, and someone said a gel plate. I love my gel plate, so why not? Good excuse to get it out and play with it. I'm just double checking this is going on my page. Scroll through. Oh no, I've got to find it differently on my phone. What's it say? Last night. No, sounds like it's all going, and I like to test the volume because one day I started and, well, I was talking to myself because I had issues with volume. Hi Jeannie, how you going? Hello Margaret. Hi Faye. Yes, the gel plates are a lot of fun. They are so versatile as well. You can do so much with them. I'm actually going to stand up and gel plate and see if I can still read comments. I think I've got my monitor propped up high enough for little old me to see the tiny little print. I'm so excited. I ordered a big screen the other day, and apparently Australia Post have it. All I got to do is drop it to my house now. So I'm a bit excited about my large screen. And then my desk is coming hopefully next week. Getting a proper setup, which will be lovely. I'll stop moving stuff around. So if you've never heard or seen a gel plate before, basically when you buy them, well, they don't look as dirty as this one. It basically is a flexible surface that you can roll paint out on. Sorry for the noise. Should have popped this open beforehand. Mine is well loved and well dirty. So this is basically a gel plate. So it's a flexible surface. Hi Susan, how you going? So it's a flexible surface. Can't talk tonight. Flexible surface that you can roll paint out onto and make marks in the paint and make some really cool prints that I'll show you tonight. Oh, my voice is a bit funny. Maybe it's just normal. Hang on. I've got a new microphone. I might put it down a bit lower. Is that a bit better? It may also be the internet if it's coming through a bit funny. Hang on. I'll just replug the mic. Hi Mary, how you going? So when you purchase a gel plate, they usually come in sort of this hard plastic clamshell packaging. So keep this. It's a great way to store it. And I was trying to find a gel plate with a new one with the acetate on them, but I couldn't find it. So when you purchase a gel plate, it has a clear, very thin layer of acetate on both sides. You peel that off and you never put that back on your gel plate. You just simply plonk it down in your little clamshell and store it flat. And you don't want to store anything. No, it sounds waffled. Oh, hang on. I'll move my microphone up, see if that gets any better. I was having it a bit down my shirt because I sounded too loud sometimes. Can't win. So you just want to store it like this, and you don't want to like put a heavy book or anything on top of it, because unfortunately if you dent this gelatin plate, that dent will be on every print you do, and you'll and swear at yourself. So to use the gel plate, it's sort of a bit flimsy to stick like this, so I just have a piece of scrap acetate, white acetate, it's got lots of paint all over it, that I stick it on. Now I could stick it on my glass mat. You basically want something, you could do it on glass chopping mat, you could do it straight on your Laminex. I've done that before. You just want something so it's firm and it's not going to roll around. And let's talk about paper just before we get started. So paper really depends on what you are using the end product for. I use a lot in my art journal, so the thinner paper the better. So tonight I'm just going to be using some regular old white photocopy paper. I also like using this paper from Woolworths. It's their home brand of grease-proof paper, and I tore some sheets off. So it's almost like a white tissue paper, has a bit of a shiny side and a bit of a dull side. I always do my printing on the dull side, and the shiny side I stick down, and this almost disappears. Turn my volume up and listen. Hang on, I will do that, and I'll see if I can fix the issue. May not be an issue I can fix. Hang on 2 seconds, I'll bring up my feed on my phone and see how we are going. Bear with me 1 second. And let's talk about paper just before we get to the dull side. I always do my printing on the dull side. Oh, it's sounding alright on my phone. Maybe if I turn your volume up. Whoops, I've still got it going on my phone. Just seeing if I've got any way of changing the volume in the computer. No, I don't. Sounds like it's coming through my phone okay. It may be sometimes when the internet's playing up, it may muffle the sound as well. So in the bottom of the window that comes up on Facebook, you can actually adjust the volume right down the bottom, where you can make it go to a large screen, so try that. So there is no reason why I can't print on cardstock, or sometimes I print on, got stuff everywhere, sometimes I print on old book pages. I like thinner paper because traditionally a lot of my prints get collaged into my art journal, so I don't want to do it on cardstock. But if you're going to use it as, you're going to use your print as a piece on a card, you will do it on cardstock. The only thing you don't really want to use is anything shiny or really, really expensive. You can just use really, really cheap paper. So we're going to use acrylic paints tonight, so I've just grabbed a bunch of ones from my box. So I've got a variety of brands, and what I want to use these paints for. Hi Kath, how you going? So these are a variety of paints. I've got Kaisercraft, I've got Semco, I've got a Martha Stewart one. Yeah, Faye, that might be great to come back because it may be the internet at your end, and it will tape it, and as soon as I finish the live, you'll be able to go watch the replay. Sorry about that. So these paints all are quite opaque, so they're not translucent. Yes, you can jelly plate with gel print with translucent paints, but you get a different look. So these are quite opaque, so you can use any sort of acrylic paint, and you can even use inks and stuff as well, which I may do one day. So let's get started. So I thought we'd play with my stencils tonight. So this is a 5x7 plate, so when I'm putting paint out, I want to have about 2 green pea-sized blobs, if that makes sense, like the green peas you eat out of the frozen peas. The worst thing you can do with a gel plate is have too much paint. And what you want to do is you want to put on color. You can put on one color, you can put on several colors. You want to pick colors that play nice together and don't make mud. So you don't want to put like red and green together and make brown. So you want to think about colors that will mix together. So I've sort of got purples and creams and blues and greens. Just going to be careful I don't put green and pink together. And I've also got white, which is a great one to clean up your plate, and I've got a dark navy blue, which will be fun to play with as well. So I thought tonight we'd just make a few prints, and then I might pop on tomorrow or Saturday and actually do something with the prints. So let's put some pink on. Just want to give these paints a bit of a shake. They've been sitting there a while. So if you are got a gel plate for the first time, just grab some of your inexpensive paints. I like using Dina Wakley paints as well as Delusions paints on my plate, but if you just got your plates the first time, grab some your cheap paints in your stash and just have a bit of a play. Not every print is going to turn out perfect. You're not going to love every one of them, but decide why you don't like it. Decide what you did not wrong, but what you can do different to make your prints a bit better. I still make dud prints, and I've been doing this quite a few years. So you want to brayer. When you're brayering or moving your paint over your gel plate, you don't want your brayer stuck on your plate all the time. Every time you do a stroke, you want to lift your brayer up. It's hard to see, I'll do it this way. Every time you do a stroke, you want to lift your brayer up and see if you can spin that the brayer around, so you can put the paint everywhere. You can go either side, you can go up and down. So that's probably looking like a good amount of paint. You don't want it to be flooded in paint. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get that roll of paper out of my way, is I'm just going to take a piece of paper. So I've done nothing to this paint except for stick it on the gel plate. So with jelly printing, or that, every print you make is what we call a mono print, so it's a one-off. So if you really do like your print, good luck trying to create it. So now I've got a nice semi-plain background, but I'm going to build up different layers with this one. So I'll just do another one. Now I've still got paint on my brayer, so I can take this to the plate. I need a little bit more. We'll just do a couple of these backgrounds and then we'll start layering with some stencils, because that can get They can get really fun. So it's good to make several of these plainer backgrounds, and then you have some to layer up on top of. So I am getting marks from my brayer in my paint, but I'm not too worried. So when I'm pressing down on top of my paper, I'm not trying to dig my fingers in. I sort of use from here to here with my hand, and you're just smoothing over the paper. You can use the brayer and go over the top. I like the touchy-feeliness of doing it with my hands. Something about getting my hands on the page is really, really good. So you know when you've got the perfect amount of paint is when you peel it off and you almost have no paint left on your gel plate. If you have a huge amount of paint on here, you're putting too much paint on. And your paint should almost be touch dry when you pull it off, so you're getting sort of the perfect amount of paint. Now let's talk about stencils. So I'm going to do some sort of background stenciling, and then I thought we'd have a play with some of my new Silhouette Girl stencils. So I've got a couple of these. Then I pulled out this one as well. So we're going to use those last. What I want to do is get a pattern layer on here. So what I do with stenciling, I just want to show you some good and bad stencils to use. This one's probably not good to use because there's a lot of stencil plastic and only very little areas of where your paint can come up through and make a design. So we're not going to actually use that one. So it's good to use the more lacy or holey stencils. So something like these work really well and give you really nice designs. So what I like to do is grab a few that have smaller holes, like these two, these three, and then grab that have bigger holes or bigger openings. So I always work from, that one's probably a small one. Actually I only grabbed two with the bigger openings, but that's alright. So I will work from these smaller ones first, and then I'll layer up to be the bigger ones. So let's pick I just got paint on my finger from somewhere. Let's pick a couple of colours to layer up on here. So when you're adding layers, you want to add a slightly darker colour. So I'm going to pick, so I could go this one over the pink and this one. I probably don't want to jump to something like this just yet. This is going to be my top layer. So you're sort of working again from light colours coming up to darker colours. You can always mix white in if you want to pastelise your colours a bit. So let's go with purple. Just going to do a purple layer. So we're going to just put the paint on. I've still got a pink on my brayer, but that's okay. I could brayer it off onto some paper, but we'll just mix it in tonight. Why not? You will also find if you've got a brand new gel plate, the first or second print you do might not look as nice because there might be a bit of residual manufacturing grease or grime or something on your plate. The more let's put my fingers in that. The more layers of paint or the more prints you take from your plate, they sort of say you season it or you get a bit of the paint on it, and subsequent prints work better, if that makes sense. So all I'm going to do is throw my stencil down. Now we've got two choices to do with this. I'm going to take a scrap bit of paper, not my background paper at the moment, and I'm going to lift up all this excess paint. So all I'm going to do is put this bit of paper down and give it a bit of a press. I'm going to give it a fair bit of a press between the, or over the stencil, just to get all in those little holes and around it. So I'm just going to remove some of this excess paint, and I'm going to use what's under the stencil. So before I peel it off, I just have a look. So when you're gel plating, you will put paint on loads and loads of paper. So do have a fair stack of paper next to you. You do go through it, and you'll use them all eventually. Isn't that pretty? Ooh, that is pretty. So I've taken that off. I'm going to put that aside to dry. Lift my stencil up. There is paint hidden under where the stencil is, and I'm going to print it onto here. So I'm going to build up a layer. So gel printing is all about layering this, and hopefully I can get it on fairly straight. As I said, I'm going to cut this up and put it in my art journal. So if I miss a bit and it's not correctly lined up, it's not the end of the world. So this is my second layer on my plate, on my page. Oops, my gel plate wants to come off as well. Ooh, doesn't that look pretty? That is looking very pretty. I will take some photos of these and put them up on my Facebook page as well. So that's looking really nice. So with the one application of paint, I've got two different looks. So I can use this in my art journal as well as use this one. So let's add another colour to this one. Let's do the same pink, and it will be quite subtle. Sorry, the same purple will be quite subtle because I've got purple on this side. So feel free to pop up any questions. Does anyone own gel plates, or are they just coming along to see what it's all about? Gel plates are quite versatile and they are a good tool to have in your stash. They are a bit of an investment, but I've had this one for possibly, I think 10 years or something, so they will last your crafty lifetime if you look after them. So let's grab another stencil. I do like, so again, I'm working with our smaller design stencils, and then when I build up another layer, I'll go this one. Choosing your stencil is the hardest thing. Actually, I might put that one on. Will I put it on an angle? Will I put it straight? Straight. So again, I'm just going to take this bit of paper and take off the excess paint around the stencil and through the stencil. There's no reason why I couldn't have picked up this pink bit of paper and put this print on there. I'm just working with the other one. Isn't that pretty? Now I'm going to have lots of prints. I won't decide which ones I want to use. Sometimes I will get a print off the back of my stencil as well, but it's a bit warm tonight. I've got my heater on, so it's nice and warm. You may find if you're in like Townsville, Cairns, and lucky you if you're up there, where it's nice and warm in summer, your paints may dry really, really quickly. If that is happening, you just need to add a, it's called an open medium, and I can't remember the technical name for it, but it's basically a medium or a liquid you add to your paint that extends its open time or its wet time. So it stays wetter for a bit longer, and then you can make your prints. Ooh, that's looking pretty cool. So building up these backgrounds, so what I think I want to do is with these ones, I want to add another layer, and then I want to add one of the silhouette stencils on the top. So often when I'm doing this, instead I've just made 2 here, I will make 10 backgrounds, then I'll do this in different colors and experiment around. So I'm not always working on the same 2 prints. I'll have 10 or 20 prints going on. And kids love gel plating too. My 13-year-old has been gel plating with me ever since she could hold the brayer in her little hand. Ever since she was about 3 or 4, and she loves to have a play as well. So I'm going to bring some aqua into this to give it another layer, and we're going to move to one more of our open stencils. So when you're building layers with stencils, it's a good idea to use smaller stencils and then build up to the bigger opening stencils. So I might add a little bit of this and darken it up a little. So kids love to gel plate as well. It is a fun activity. And people often say, well, Melinda, what do you do with your gel prints when you make them? Basically, this is becoming a piece of pattern paper. So whatever you do with pattern paper that you commercially buy, if you use it for card making, scrapbooking, art journaling, altered books, collaging, art pieces, so whatever you use pattern paper with, you use your gel prints with. You've just made it yourself, which is really cool. That's right, I'm just thinking what I am doing. It's hard to talk and to craft. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab a scrap bit of paper. This time I'll just grab some of the photocopy paper. Just want to take all that paint. Oops. This stencil's a little thicker, so the paper is jumping around a bit, but that's okay. And you tend to get paint all over you, unless you're my 13-year-old that stays crystal clean when she is gel plating, and that is just not fair because I end up covered in paint. So I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to add it over this one. So you should be able to see some of the pattern we've done through this next print. Sometimes you go and add your 3rd and 4th layer and it doesn't exactly work. That's okay. That print just gets torn up or cut up into smaller pieces. I probably had a fraction too much paint on this one, but you can see the design underneath. when you look closely. I didn't remove as much paint. Probably had a fraction too much paint on that print, but it's all a learning surface. I will use that one anyway. So you can see I've got paint still on my plate here, so we can pick that up with some paper. Even though I've been gel plating for several years, I still make stuff up prints. I still make stuff that looks horrible. What are you wasting? Get a little bit of paint and a bit of paper. You're not wasting much at all if you do stuff it up, so do experiment. So I can clean my plate up. Sometimes I like these prints better than this one to use. Okay, now we're going to wait for that one to dry. We are going to I'm going to use this one. We've still got a bit of paint on our brayer, and that was my probably issue before. I had a fraction too much paint. Sometimes if your paint's a little more runny than others, different paints have different sort of consistencies. So it may take you a few prints to work out how much paint exactly that you want on your plate. You just don't want too much. So I'm going to throw this stencil on here. So this time I am going to grab this bit, take all this off. This time I want to make sure I remove most of the paint through the stencil because I only want a little bit showing on my work. So I'm going to give it an extra push and double check before I take it off. Oops. So without removing my paper completely, I can have a look, and that is beautiful. Take this off. And I'm going to put some blue over this one. So when you're layering, you're wanting to add smaller bits of paint as you build up the layers. I just got to scroll through comments. Hi Tabitha, how are you going? Are you still on baby duty down at your daughter's, or have you gone home? Tabitha's just become a grandma. How exciting. So with this one, it might be hard to see on camera, but you can see the layers coming through. And it's all about picking the right stencil and picking the right design to layer on top. So now I've got these two designs here. I'm going to swap to a mask. Excuse me, that's dinner trying to repeat on me. So these particular stencils I sell in a set. So you get the stencil bit and you get the mask bit. We're going to use the mask bit today, because ideally what I want to do, or I could use the foliage. I might do a green one in a minute with the foliage. Ideally what I'm going to do is put down a layer of paint, put the mask on top of the paint, and then whatever is hiding under the mask, this design will come through, and then everything else will be blacked out or darkened. So let's see if this happens. And of course, live on camera, everything goes wrong. I'm just going to clean up my brayer because I don't particularly want that colour on there. So sometimes to clean up my brayer, I will just grab some book text and just get the colour of the paint off. And this again goes in my box, and I will use this in a background or cut it up again. So any surface that's got paint on. Oh, you're going home tomorrow, Tabitha. How exciting is it to be a grandma? What am I doing? Lost my train of thought. So this particular one, when I'm doing this layer, I want a high contrast. So I either want to go in with a very dark colour or a white if you want it to be less subtle. Let's do one with white and one with dark. So this one is what we call a heavy body paint, so it's a bit thicker, and it's also it's like a night colour. It's a really deep blue colour. And I use it as a substitute for black most of the time because I just love this colour. It's nice and intense and dark, but it's also not black, because black can be too dark sometimes. So I'm just going to roll this off. I might have a fraction too much paint. Let me just do that again. Don't want too much paint. So now I'm going to stick my mask on. Which one will I do? Yeah, I'll do this one. So I'm going to lay my mask down. So wherever my mask is, that's my design of the piece of pattern paper I'm going to protect. So on these, on their own, don't look like much, but when I concentrate the concentrate your eye to this little area, it'll look a whole lot better. Now I'm going to line this up. So now this particular print will be mostly the dark colour, and then we'll have a pinky purple person in the middle. So you can make just general patterns and general prints like this sort of stuff and use these, or you can sort of build up on the one sheet, on the one print. Just going to see what that looks like. Your final piece. So this one's more looking like a final piece than a print I would tear up. So this one I will use in my art journal as like a panel, so I can see the colour under the person, and then I've got all this blacked out. Yes, I could put my mask down and stencil with a sponge, but I sometimes like the unpredictability of the gel plate, getting these little marks in it and not the overall coverage sometimes. Now I've got that person here. Let's stick her on something. Oh, she'll go really nice on here. So there's no reason why I can't layer up onto these ones. Actually, what am I going to do? Decisions. I'll layer up over this one here. So as you can see, we're making quite a few prints, and I'm only sort of concentrating on about 3 or 4 bits of paper. Usually when I do this on my own, I will have 20 bits of paper going. Oh, now I've got a person on a background. And I love the sort of speckled effect. You don't get a complete coverage. If you want a complete coverage, you can use your mask and do it with a stencil. Now I've got paint on her as well, so let's put her on something. This one I might just do on book paper because I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. Sometimes the paint comes off the stencil really well, sometimes it doesn't. And I just got to make sure my words are up the right way because I'm a bit anal like that. I like my words going up the right way. So it's fun just to experiment and do different prints and make a whole lot of backgrounds. So I could cut these down to card fronts, I could make them, and we didn't get much at all. The paint's drying rather quickly. We got a light figure, but that's okay, we'll build up on something. So let's do this one, let's do the white. I've just got to clean off my brayer so I don't make a mess. So the only time I usually clean up my brayer 100% is if I'm going from a dark colour to a light colour. And I sort of never clean off my gel plate unless I'm wanting to go from obviously a dark colour to a really crisp, clean white colour. I will sort of clean this off, but as you might be able to see, there's little bits of paint still stuck around the edge, and leaving those there, they will be picked up by another layer of paint, and I call them crusty bits. And you'll see these coming through to your other prints. I was just going to see if I can find one that's done it. Nope, not on that one. You'll see it on the white. So those are the unexpected bits you get with the gel plate. Oh, this paint's a bit thick. Oh, just doesn't want to come out. Paints do have a shelf life, and that one might be getting towards its end of its shelf life, drying out a bit. Probably didn't put the cap back on it. Oh no, it's braying out okay. Just didn't want to come out of the tube. So obviously I'm using acrylic paints here. I could swap to fabric paints and use fabric paints on fabric. Lost me other girl. Where'd it go? Ah, there it is. It's white on white. So this time I'm going to offset her, and I'm going to put it over this print just to show you the difference of, I'm going to do it upside down, which won't matter. Yep, no, I want it this way around. Doesn't really have which side it is up. So you just have to remember when you're doing it with the mask, you just want a high contrast colour, either a white or a darker, much darker colour. Unless you're going for a really subtle look. And then you can do it a lighter colour. But when you're first starting out, it's good to do them dark. Oh, I really like this. You can see some of the purples coming through, and you've got a really nice print coming through. So I'd probably cut this down to sort of trim it off here, and then use that as a focal panel in my art journal. So you can use these as focal panels. You can use them as, actually what I might do is, I'm going to take this bit of book paper that I've got the dark on, because I've still got a fair bit of this white paint here. So I'm going to make another print. So as long as there is paint on my gel plate, I will pick it up and use it. When I finish and store my gel plate away, I do like to make sure that there's not like that. Oh, I'm liking that. Like there's not a huge amount of paint on it, but these little flecks here, that's okay, because next time I add paint to it, it will pick it up. That's really cool. And I don't know whether you'll be able to pick up on the camera. I can't see if you can see it on the camera. You sort of got this little ghosty highlighty line around, and it almost looks like she's 3D, which is really cool. And you'd never get that when you're stenciling. I love the unpredictability of the gel plate. Each time you do something, you get something totally different. Now I've got that white person here. What am I going to do a white person on? Because I don't have any darker paper. I'm just looking quickly for a bit of... Oh, I can print on one of these. What's this? To put her on my desk. I've just grabbed... This is just a sheet of label stickers. So I'm just going to pick her up because I've only got white paper in front of me. So you can print on label stickers as well. That's really cool. And then you've got stickers to pull off and use. Just got to be careful when you pull it off the plate. Sometimes the stickers will stick to the plate. You just got to peel them off and put them on. Oh, I love the texture in her. She's picked up some of the darkness from underneath before I put the white on. She looks really cool. Ooh. Maybe we can play with the stickers a bit more. See if I can do her. There's a bit of white sitting there. So what I'll show you, I was going to pick that up, but I'll show you something else. If you've got dried paint on your plate, the best way to pick it up is to put more paint on. Still undecided whether you want to get a gel plate, Tabitha. You need a gel plate. Gel plate's so much fun. I know you have lots of other backgrounds. You have a lot of alcohol ink backgrounds and inky backgrounds. Just think how many more you can have with a gel plate. I think Miss Assistant would love a gel plate, Tabitha. She can make oh so many more backgrounds. Just going to get this white paint off my brow. So while I'm doing that, this white paint is actually drying on my plate. But that's okay. I'm going to show you how to clean your plate. The way I clean my plate is by adding more paint. That sounds a bit redundant, doesn't it? But you can sort of see I've got this ghosty white outline of this girl still. So that's almost touch dry. So to pick that up, and sometimes I like these prints better than the ones I've been working on. To pick that up, I put some more paint down. So this wet paint should pick up that white girl, and I've gone deliberately for a darker colour. Now you don't want to overwork this when you've got paint underneath, and I can still see my girl there. Sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. You've just got to understand. Sometimes with gel plating you think it's going to work and it doesn't. Looking for a bit of that thin paper. And we'll see if that white lady appears. I might just get a blue blob. We'll see. That's the exciting thing about the gel plate. You really don't know what you're going to get until you pull your bit of paper up. Oh, you have a whole box full of backgrounds. Yeah, don't ask me how many gel prints I've got. I'm not admitting to having quite a stack. Oh, did we get the blue girl? Did we get the white girl? No, she turned blue. I can see her really, really faintly. Let's try and pick her up on here. So as I said, sometimes putting more paint on to clean up your plate works, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on how you hold your tongue sometimes. Gel plating is a bit like that. Sometimes you'll get perfect prints that you really love. Sometimes you get prints you go, it's not working the way I thought it did. Have a think about what you've done wrong, or not done wrong, have a think about what you've done and change it a little, do it a little different. Oh, I can see this one coming up. And go again. I've picked her up this time, but now I've got a nice blue area to layer up. So let's do something on here. Let's put some pink on here. So I could keep going all night and all night and all night. I'll make a few more prints. I'll go to about an hour with this live. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my prints and come up with an art journal page. And I might pop back on tomorrow, which is Friday, or Saturday. So while we're doing this, we've got a few changes coming up with COVID. If anyone noticed, we're supposed to be doing a show in Bendigo next weekend. And thanks to COVID, that is not going ahead. So that has been postponed to October. So we are doing a virtual event instead. So I'm planning a bunch of lives for next week. So next Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, when the show was supposed to happen. And there'll be a sale on my website, and there might be some live sales and some fun stuff going on. Just because we can't be together at a craft show doesn't mean I can't do a lot of fun stuff. So I'm putting my thinking caps on with what fun stuff we can do in some lives for you. I know our dear friends in Melbourne will still be in lockdown, so it'll be something for them. Oh no, they might be out of it by now, because by then, by next Thursday. I think they're due to come out of it. We'll have to see what happens. So we've got that to look forward to, and I'll put up more details over the weekend of what time the lives will be. And there will be some new products on the website that I've got to go and photograph. Yeah, in my free hours on the day, I made some new products that I was going to take to the Bendigo show. And now we're doing it online, so I will load them up online. Some really cool products, if I do say so myself. I've been busily working on some. So this time I've just put my paint down, put my stencil on top. So before, I'll grab this one because it's the same stencil. So before I was taking this paint off onto a piece of paper and I had white underneath. This time I'm going to swap out, and you should see I've got papers everywhere. I'm going to swap out and bring this blue one back in. So I'm going to pick up this excess paint onto this blue sheet, which looks really cool as well. I'm going to see if I can line it up. That's what I've got to do after the live, actually, is photograph a bunch of products. I think I'll put a movie on the TV and photograph all my products. We've got some new napkins coming out too. Alexis has been out shopping. I don't know. We did well at the shop. We went down one aisle and we only picked up a couple of packets of napkins, and I thought, oh, that's great. We turned the corner, went down another aisle, and oh my God. Yes, oh my God. We found some cool ones. So Alexis is going to pick what one she's going to release for June, and the rest will be held over for the next release. So if I peel this off, we have got that print of purple on the blue instead of on the white. So even using the one stencil on the gel plate, you can get so many different looks by changing the colours around. So now we have to be fairly quick. We've got paint under this stencil, and let's put it somewhere. Let's put it on these stickers, which I really want to play with more of. So I'm going to try to avoid the girl because I like the girl. So I'm actually going to fold the sticker sheet in half. So when you're gel printing, you don't have to add, I just don't want to get this print on the girl. I should have a pair of scissors near me, but I don't, of course. Of course I don't have a pair of scissors near me. So you don't necessarily have to always put a full sheet of paper over this. I can actually just lay this over half and press it down and pick up half my paint on one project. I'll flip that open so I can get a bit more smoothness on my fingers. Now I'm just going to be a bit careful when I pick this up. Ooh, they're going to be really cool to use. I love printing on stickers because they're so easy to peel off in little fragments. So now I've got this little bit over here, so I can choose another piece of paper to... Ooh, that would be really nice on here. Would it? Or will I put it on here? Decisions. Actually look really nice there if that was dark. Never have the right colour, do I? Actually, let's just pick it up with a bit of paper. So don't feel that you have to use the whole, this is a 5x7 plate, on your paper at the same time. You can just pick up little bits here and there and put them on your project. So now we've got that little strip, which is cool to use as well. Let's do something with this big leaf, which would be really cool. What colours am I going to do with that? Let's get rid of this pink. And let's do... So I want the leaf to be green, so let me just dive into my paint box and grab out a more like a limey green colour. And we'll put a little bit of this to make it a bit dark. Do I know I want this a bit lighter? Let's put a bit of cream into it. So I want this colour to be quite light, and then I'm going to go light to dark. Sometimes I have no idea what I'm actually going to do when I start gel plating. I just start playing and seeing if this colour works with this colour, if this paint will mix with that paint. Some paints across different brands don't like to play nice together. You've just got to experiment, and that is half the fun. And if you saw beyond my desk, I've got bits of paper everywhere. So I'm just going to make a background. And then we're going to do this leaf mask. That is a really nice background. We're just going to grab the rest of the paint off with a piece of scrapbook paper. So there's really no right or wrong way with gel plating. It's more about not putting too much paint out. Ooh, I even like that. Sometimes I like these sheets better than the ones I think I'm making. I'm just going to clean up on that. And up on the side of here. I just want to clean off that green off the brayer. So often the accidental prints are the ones I like better than the normal ones. Now what I want to do is add some texture to this, and then we're going to put our mask down. So what sort of texture do we want on leaves? We want... Oh, this one look really cool. So I'm going to use this stencil in a slightly different way. Again, I'm going to go in with this and then the other darker one. Just thinking about my colours. So when I'm building my layers, I'm always going from light to dark, because that seems to work a bit better than trying to put light colours over dark colours. But it's all about experimenting. If it doesn't work, just change the paints around. So what we can do this time is actually use our stencil to make some impressions in our paint, instead of putting our stencil down and putting our paper on top. So I'm just going to grab a scrap bit of paper, otherwise I can see my hand getting covered in green paint. I'm just going to grab a bit of book text. And I'm just going to gently put my stencil down, and I'm just gently rubbing. I'm not rubbing to get the paint off the stencil. I'm just more pushing the stencil into the paint to give it some texture. So you can basically use anything that's not metal or abrasive to put texture into your paint to print. So as you can see, I've got not much paint off that one, but hopefully on the print you can see that I've got some texture in the paint. So let's do this one, and this will give us a good background to work on as well. So you can use empty, this is a sticker roll that was just on my desk. You can use combs, plastic combs, to drag through your paint. I've put material, lace and stuff. Just don't want to use your material again, because you obviously clag it up with, oh, I really like that. Oh, almost looks like water. That's going to be really cool. So I've got the green coming underneath. I didn't know if that would, I was going to put this on here, but I didn't know whether I'd removed enough paint, but I think I have. That almost looks like water. So let's do that over there. So sometimes if I'm not sure how it will look on top of each other, I'll print it just on white to see how much white or this other colour will show through. Let's do that again. That was really cool. I could sit here for hours and do this. It is so much fun. The problem I have with gel plating is I tend to make a lot of prints and sort of not use them. I'm trying to be good this year. And actually use the prints I make. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to take our Rocky stencil and we're just going to push it in. I've used embossing folders before to push into the paint to make impressions. Let's use our paper roll as well. I did take a bit of paint off that time, but that's okay. So you've also got paint on here, so you can take your stencil, and again, sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. Push it onto paper. Usually I like to put the paper on top. Now I'm going to get paint on me. Got to have a grub when I gel plate. Sometimes with the paint that's on your stencil, you can transfer it to paper, and that looks really cool. So sometimes that works as well. Oh, sorry, technology. Oh, I hate it lately too. Made by Miss Us Dougie. Yeah, definitely that's a great thing about Facebook is watching. So I'm mainly talking about layering tonight. So how this is the print I just did. So I'm going to print that on top of there. So basically when you're layering, you want to layer light colours to dark colours. I found the best process with, and using small stencils to start with, and then going to more open stencils or more open stencils with bigger areas in them. But the advantage of the live being recorded is you can actually grab out your gel plate and play along with me. Ooh, I'm liking that. So now that's 2 layers, and I must admit when I get to a 3rd or a 4th layer, sometimes I really stuff it up. I've watched a few YouTubers that do several layers, and they just perfectly do it. And something I'm doing wrong when I get to 3 or 4 layers. So I'm going to use our leaf stencil. And I'm going to just give that a second to dry, get our really dark colour, and do that with our leaf. Oops, before I put that down, I should have picked up, I can see I've got paint on my plate, so let's just move that out of the way. I've still got a bit of paint on this plate, so I'm just going to pick it up with this. Whoops. So the only really wrong thing you can do with gel plating is having too much paint on your plate and sort of picking the wrong colours if you're mixing colours on the plate. You don't, oh, I like that. You don't want to put colours that are opposite on the colour wheel, so not like red and green, or what are the other ones that don't like mixing? Oh, you have an armful of baby, Tabitha. Oh, it's been so long since I've had baby cuddles from any baby. My baby's 13. How did that happen? So yeah, I think it's purple and yellow or blue and orange. It's a couple of those two that will make mud, so you just got to be a bit careful. And the more opaque your paint is, so paints can come either transparent, which you can sort of see through like watercolour, or opaque. The more opaque your paints, the better the layers will sit on top of each other. More translucent paints tend to muddy up and you sort of lose the layers, if that makes sense. So we're just going to throw our leaf on there. Let's make sure it's stuck down in the paint. So with this 3rd layer, I've gone from light green to turquoise. It's not quite dry yet, but it will still work. So we'll do one over here. This one's dry. And then I've got a really contrast blue on the top. So again, I've gone to light to dark, and my last layer I like to be contrasty. So just giving that a nice push down, just going over with my fingertips over where the stencil is. If I don't think I've got it all, I can put my fingers in paint. That's always clever. Peel it up. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, liking that. I'm going to do that on that side now. I like the contrast of this. So these prints are never finished. So I can go and take my white pen and do some hand doodling around that, or some hand drawing. I can take a stamp and add more stamping to it. So the prints are never finished unless you want them to be. I'm going to grab this that's hiding under my stencil on this piece of book paper, just to pick it up. How's baby sleeping, Tabitha? Has she been good and sleeping a lot? She's not one of those 3-hour babies that decide to wake up every 3 hours and want to feed. I was lucky my daughter wasn't like that. So that is really nice as well. And I like how I've actually got some of this texture from a different stencil coming through that I used several prints ago. So I actually never clean my plate between prints. You can actually see, I don't know whether you'll be able to see, you've got an impression of the leaf still here, and you've got some of the stencil underneath. So unless you're wanting to completely change your colorway from going from this dark to light, I don't clean my plate. I like some of this texture coming up through. So I'm going to put some white on here. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to put some. I'll put some light blue. So if you're wanting to pick up this little bit of stuff that's on the plate, or sort of clean your plate, didn't work real well before, but we'll try it again. Sometimes it picks up this stuff and sometimes it doesn't. It's not an exact science. Gel plating is all about learning and what colors go with what, and some days they might work and then you come in and you want to do exactly the same thing you did yesterday and it's not working for some reason. So gel plating is a bit like that. You just have to persist and have fun. Oops, just getting rid of this dark on my brayer. And then we're just going to put this light paint over here. And we'll see if we'll pick up those dark splecks. Sometimes we don't get anything, sometimes we get a really cool print, just depends. I don't know what it depends on, but it just depends some days. Sometimes it works, some days it doesn't. So I've just got flecks of that dark paint that I've just used with the leaf sitting on the plate that I can see. It might be a bit hard to see with the camera. So putting a lighter colour on top will reactivate those bits of dried paint on the plate, and then that should be able to pick them up. It's a bit of a surprise when we do this, if we get something or if we don't. Just give it a nice firm press down, probably pressing down a little firmer than I normally would, just to, ooh, we did get something. Ooh, this is kind of cool. It's always a surprise when you pull the print up. Ooh, that is really nice. So you can see the impression of the leaf here, which is really nice. So this would be nice in a background, or I could go with a pen and outline the leaf to give it a bit more definition, and I can see a little bit of the other stencils I've used as well. So the only problem with the only downside of Geli printing is if you really like this, have fun trying to recreate it. So gel printing is more one-off or single prints. It's got its name from mono printing, mono meaning one. I'm just going to throw some more paint down here. So that is one of the disadvantages. What I do is if I tend to like a print, I'll take it to my scanner, scan it in and print it out. And then I can print multiples for if I'm wanting to use them for a particular project. So I'm just going to put some more light down. So what can I... What am I going to do this over? We might, just looking at what prints I've got, I can print over the top with light. So I might go light over the top of this one, because these are quite dark colours, so you've got that contrast there. Let me find a stencil. Now just be careful if you are using your mask stencils. If this was wet on the top, and I go and stick it on my plate like this, if there's any wet paint on the top, it'll transfer to this print. So you want to make sure you either wash your masks, or this paint here is completely dry, so it doesn't matter which way I stick it down. It's not going to transfer paint to this surface, because I actually want to see this print under where my mask is. So masks can be anything. They can be stencils. You can hand cut organic masks from paper, or like laminate sheets if you want to sort of cut your own mask and have your own shapes. They're fun to play with as well. Just got to watch if you make paper masks, they only last 1 or 2 prints. So if you're wanting to make like a series of stuff, you do need to use something that's a bit more sturdy. So now we've got the design that we had on the plate, and we've used not so much of a contrasting colour. And I think my internet's just dropped out. Some days I wonder about technology. My screen's gone. But I think it's still going because the time's still ticking over. If it's still working, can you just pop up a comment? I'm nearly finished anyway. So I'm just going to pick that person up. I've got some paint underneath. I'm going to find something dark to put it on. So I've got this strip here. So I'm just going to line that up and pick up that paint that was under the stencil. My computer's done that weird thing where I've lost the camera thing. Lost the feed on my camera, but it still says I'm ticking away live. Technology, who would want them? So now we've got this outline, and I've got this dark paint up here that I must do something with. Got this light outline from where the mask was onto our darker bit of paper. So I might sort of end it there. So I've made a few prints that are multi-level. So this one's 3 levels. So we started with the green, we went to the turquoise, and then we put the dark over the top. So I'll have a think about what I have done and what I've got here. Just avoiding that paint. So we've done ones like this as well. And I'm doing another live tomorrow, or tomorrow's Friday. See, I don't even know what day of the week it is. And I'll show you how to turn these into an art journal page, or we might do one into a card as well. Some of the more backgroundy, smaller ones, we can cut these down into a 6x4 card. So hopefully that was a bit of fun. You learned something about gel plates. And Tabitha, yes, you really do need one. They are lots of fun to play with, and you can get so many varied looks. Acrylic paint is one medium you can use on them. You can use ink pads as well, and all sorts of different mediums. The only thing you can't use is like a oil-based medium, like an oil paint or something like that. So stick to your water-soluble mediums. But even stuff like this has a use, so don't throw any of your gel plates out. You can cut these down, you can die cut them, you can do a lot with them and still use them in your art. So even something like this. So some of your accidental prints can turn out to be some of your favourites, and sometimes they are. I really liking this one with the 2 colours. So if you're finding you're not getting prints that you like, just have a look at the colours. More contrasty colours, so the bigger the contrast, like with lights and darks, the better look you get. I really like this one. If you're using colours that are too tonal and too close to each other, that's when sometimes you won't get a good look. I did one of those before, or to cover it up. Well, I've got prints everywhere. I must have covered one up. One of these was a bit close in its tone, so you don't get that contrasty look. This one's a lot better because you can see the pinks and purples and it's standing out. This one contrasted in a bit within the girl, but I still like it. And I like all this sort of texture you get around the plate as well. So not every time are you going to get that solid painty look with a gel plate. You're always going to get those slight imperfections, and those slight imperfections can be really cool. And I liked there was one of them we had haloing around our stencil, which was really cool. But I've got prints on top of prints here. I don't know where the one is gone. But I will have a think about these and come back, and it's buried right underneath. So for example, this one with the mask, you've got sort of the haloing effect up here, and you'd never get that if you just stenciled. So you can get some happy accidents and get some really cool prints. So I can see her cut down and used as a strip. I could handwrite some words across her, or I could add a little bit more pen work and make her into a background and make her as a standout piece. I think there's an alarm on my phone for some particular reason. It's probably telling me to get off the live. So thank you very much for taking some time out of your day and watching my live. And if you're watching it on replay, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to pop them in the comments. I'll do my best to come back and answer them. And let's turn this into a project. It'll force me to use some of my prints. We're not going to use every one of them, but I'll have a think about what I will do, and I will be back. So thank you very much for taking some of your Thursday night to watch my live. And check out our Facebook page for all the details for our virtual show next week that we're having instead of our in-person show that we're supposed to be doing, but COVID decided we can't do it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. I'll post the time. It'll probably be at night, either Friday or Saturday night. I've got a bunch of work to do, so it'll be a good distraction or good reward if I get all my work done. I can jump on and have a play in my art journal. Bye for now. Oh, my people are upside down. Good evening, good evening. Just 1 second. Sorry about that, I just want to pick up my phone and turn it to silent. Hello, it's Melinda from Scrapbooking&Craft. How you going on this cold, wintry night here in Bendigo? So cold this morning. And I felt cold all day. That's ridiculous. So if you're popping on to watch me tonight, say something in the comments so I know you're watching. If not, I know Saturday night's a hard time for some people to come on and watch, so I'm sure plenty of people will be watching it in the replay. If you are watching us on replay, just pop replay in the comments so I can see who's watching it on replay as well. So welcome. My name is Melinda and I'm from Scrapbooking&Craft. So just going to double check it is working, but my phone just buzzed, so I'm assuming it is. It's not where I want to go look at it. So today I thought I would come on and use the gel prints that I made a couple of days ago. I think I made them on Thursday. The last couple have been a bit of a mash together. The days are going very quickly. My phone just buzzed to say I was live, so hopefully I am. I'm just going to check the volume. Oops, where is it? All day. Yep, it is working. That is awesome. Beautiful. So welcome. I'll put my phone away now. Hopefully we don't get interruptions, and hopefully the internet is okay tonight. So a couple of days ago, Thursday night I think it was, I come on and did some gel printing. Made some gel prints with some of my stencils and mask sets that I sell in my store, and some of my other stencils or sell on my website. So we some of these masks, we used the leaves, we used some of these stencils, so I might use some of them on the art journal page tonight as well. We used, my girl's all cut up, she's easy to find now, she's blue. I'd lose her when she was white. So I love gel printing, but I tend to not use a lot of the prints I make. I tend to make them and they sit there. I have got a huge pile of gel prints, so I thought, why not force myself to use them, which would be good. Well, not force myself. I love to do art journaling, but it's actually getting stuff done. Hi Tabitha. Yes, it is freezing down there. We had a morning temperature of -2 this morning. I think my house is sitting at like 12. It's blooming cold. My heater is on, but I've moved it away from where I'm filming, so hopefully you don't pick up the noise. Hi Margaret, how you going? Hi Amy. So what I thought I'd do is, I've had a look at the gel prints and sort of got an idea in my head, but that does not actually mean that that's what is going to be made tonight. Sometimes I start with an idea in my head and doesn't go well, and turn out with something different. So the first thing I thought I'd do is sort the gel prints into 2 different categories. So either focal images, so obviously this one's a focal image, and then pick one of the focal images and build my page from there. So obviously this one's a good focal image as well. Some of them become backgrounds. Now this one could be either, but I'm going to throw it into the background pile tonight. We got another focal image. This one's got a bit of background on it. So these are all beautifully dry. These are lovely to use as focal images or side bits. This one, I love how this one turned out. I love all the grunginess of it. So this one's a background. This one is a focal image, background, background. I didn't even put any of these up. I love all this white ghosting on this one. This is really cool. So we're going to pick one of these as a focal image and then build from there. I've grabbed some washi tape and some inks, and I've still got my paints on my desk, so we'll see what else we use. That one could become a focal image if I do a bit more work on it. So that's about all the prints that we made. I like this one too. That's where I had print on ink on the back of my I'll think of it in a minute, stencil and stamped it down. So now, let me choose a focal image. I think I'm going to go with a girl. I think I'm going to save this leaf one for another day. So let's move that out of there. We're going to go with a girl. And I was thinking, I'm either really liking this one with the pattern in it, because that one turned out really well. This one is a bit, this one's a bit contrasty. So I'm either thinking this one or this one. I like both of them. But let's make a decision. Let's go with this one. Why not? So I'll put my other focal images. We might bring another one back in. We will see. So we're going to start with this one. And this was the sheet of stickers that I was playing with as well that was close on my desk. And I do love how some of these pulled off. So I might incorporate some of those and bring a bit of pink into it as well. Obviously the girl on the side I will use as a full sticker, join all the stickers up. Or it'd be even cool to not join them up. Ooh. Now I'm getting too many ideas. This is what happens when I art journal. Okay, so we're going to use this one. I'm working in one of my old books. Oh, Amy, you love the look of the lady figures with the blue and the pink. Which one was that? Blue and the pink. Oh, you like this one? Yeah, I like that one as well. That's a great thing about gel printing. You can make some really cool combinations. So this book is just under A4 size. It's actually a, which one is this? Oh, this is a horse and pony book. So I do like working in altered books. Let's find some papers to go with this in the same sort of colours. Obviously not that one. Looking for a bit more of this bright blue. Even though this has got the leaf on it, I might use some of that. So the background ones I'm aiming to tear up and do a bit of collage in the background. That one might fight with this print a bit. So I might go with that one. This one I like. So it's got that same sort of colour. Don't want to use these green ones. So I was going to do this beforehand and I thought, no, I'll take a couple of minutes to do it and you can watch me shuffle papers around and be really indecisive. I may bring those in later. That is what I've got on the stickers, so that's a possibility. That and that would be fun to use. You've sort of got the positive and the negative, and that was some roll-off paper. So we've got a few choices here. We might get rid of this one. Let's narrow down our choices so we don't have 100 things going on. So the only thing I've done to my page is actually I found a page in my art journal I'd pre-gessoed. It's the only thing I've done to the page so far. I've now got papers and stuff everywhere around my desk. I'm just trying to not have an avalanche, which would not be fun. Okay, so I think we're going to go with these 5 to start with, and I may add some more later on. So, as I said, I've just put some white gesso on the page just to knock back the dark text. So I'm going to put my focal image just off to the side here, and what am I going to do with these? I'm in the mood to tear some stuff, so why not tear it up? So I'm thinking some torn strips in the background, and then sort of collage her over the top. Now my focal image and this particular paper I'm tearing up at the moment is printed on that roll of paper I showed you, which is the grease-proof. Actually, it's still here. See, I didn't clean up. I like printing on this from Woolworths. It's under $2 for 30 meters, so it's a really good value. It's called grease-proof paper, and it's a bit stronger than tissue paper, but it almost disappears. You get a little bit of a white cloud, but almost disappears. I've got to get a rubbish bin. That's all right. Pile it on the desk. Almost disappears when you glue it down, which is cool. Now, which way do I want my book text to go? Actually, it'd be fun to have it going the other way. So my idea, I think, is to have some strips going maybe in the background. Half the time when I start an art journal page, I don't particularly know what the finished image will look like. Obviously, know I'm going to use this in some form. I'm just going to build up a background at the moment. So I want to overlap some of these. So I like this text going, actually I don't like it going that way now because I've got text in the back. Okay, we're going to change that idea. We're going to tear this one. Maybe I'll have my stripes going this way. Oh, maybe I'll do that instead. Sorry, thinking out loud. Thanks, Amy. Yes, it is, and it's almost what they call deli paper in America, which is like greaseproof paper, and it's a bit stronger than tissue paper, so it takes your ink and takes your paint really well, and then it almost disappears when you glue it down with an acrylic matte medium. So we're going to lovely stuff to glue it down with. Actually, I think these sort of stripes will work better because she's an up and down figure. Yep, I think I'm liking this. Tonight we are not going to procrastinate. We're going to stick it down and hopefully it looks good. This one I just want to get rid of this hard edge on this side. I'm the worst when it comes to procrastinating. I will sit here and move things around and not make a decision. I also use this greaseproof paper to stamp images on. If I want a really crisp stamped like focal image, I will stamp it on this greaseproof paper and then glue it on instead of stamping directly on my page. So I use a lot of it. Every time I order groceries, I sort of sneak a roll into my order. Okay. So I think we're going to do something like that. Let's glue those down. As I said, it's not going to be procrastination night tonight. Oops. And I like them at different heights. So do we want to make them sort of uniform, or do I just want to make them, actually I like that. I like sort of going down, but I didn't want to come up again. I don't know. So when you're gluing these thinner papers down, acrylic matte medium is really good because it's a liquid. So you're not wanting to, oh, I've got a big blob of dried gunk on the top. That's always handy. So the good way to remember how to stick different papers down is the thinner the paper, the thinner the adhesive. So this one's quite a liquid one. You'll see when I squirt it out. Oh, it's a bit hard to see white on white. But it's nice and thin, so you put some on your page where you're going to stick your thin paper. Lay your paper on top. Doesn't matter if this is greaseproof paper or if it's rice paper, if it's a paper napkin. You glue this down exactly the same way and use the same stuff. And then you just go over the top. Over the top seals it and puts a barrier on top of it. When we go to add some paint or stamping, it won't soak into the paper. It's got a barrier on top of it. So if you accidentally make a mistake, sorry, just checking my words are up the right way. I have a thing about I like words up the right way. So it sort of puts a barrier on your page and seals it so your other mediums will go nicely on top, or some other mediums. The only thing that you can't put on top of this acrylic medium is it doesn't like any sort of sprays on top of it. So the sprays sort of resist it. Sprays as in like dilution sprays or Tim Holtz stains or anything like that. They prefer just raw paper. So you just got to be a bit, actually I might go over the spine. By going over the spine with this thin paper, it actually helps to reinforce the spine as well. I don't like to put really thick paper in the spine of my book. I'm just going to overlap it by a little bit, and I'm getting this glue absolutely everywhere. That's okay. So by putting the thin paper in the spine, it will reinforce the spine. I'm just going to pick up that page and make sure it's shoved right in the spine. So I love working in altered books. Doesn't matter what the subject of the book is, because as you can see I'm covering most of this up anyway. I usually go for the size of the book and then I look at the paper. I like books from the 60s and sort of 70s for my art journal because they have that older, thicker paper. You don't want a glossy paper because that's really hard to work on top of. So this one actually had black and white glossy photos in it, so I tore all those out. Oh, that one's upside down. Let's have my words up the right way just because that's... Oh, hang on. They were up the right way. Oh, can't see tonight. Too cold. I like the words up the right way. So yeah, if you want to start working in altered books, you just have to look for the ones that have that nice thick paper but not glossy paper. I like to work in old atlases or all sorts of different kinds of books. Hi Marita, how you going? I've got a message there, I've got to reply to you Marita. I'm a bit behind with doing messages. I've been a bit busy the last few weeks between going to the Hillbilly Retreat and thinking we had our craft show in Bendigo next weekend. Now COVID has closed has postponed our show in Bendigo, our in-person show, so I was all organised for that. I had all my classes organised, I had all my stock organised, and now I have to pivot and organise an online show within under a week. That's okay. So I've managed to photograph all my new products on my website. I wasn't going to do a new website release this month. I was going to do it in the middle of July, but now you're getting it early. So I've got about 150 new products to put up on my website, which will be fun. Sometime, maybe I'll start that tonight. I've got 150. I've photographed them all. I've got to edit all the photos and then write the descriptions and get them up on the website. So Alexis is putting a bunch of new napkins up because she didn't want to miss out on all the fun. And there is some really exciting stuff coming. There's some black cardstock, which is a new product I'm releasing. Shapes in black cardstock, which is really, really cool. And why am I getting blue? You were ready early, Tabitha. That's not running. It shouldn't be running. I was ready early. The only thing I had to barcode just another box of products, which just with barcode prices on them. That was the only thing I had to do, and now I've got to do everything. So Bendigo's been postponed till October, so hopefully it goes ahead. But we'll wait and see. COVID likes to just disrupt everything. So while this is drying, I'm just going to put this away to dry for a minute. So you just want to make sure there's no big blobs. And I shouldn't be getting any blue off this because these are all acrylic paints. What I've probably got is some ink on my wedge spreader. I'm using my silicone brush because we were using acrylic paints. So just got to watch when you're using the of the day. Don't even have baby wipes here. Oh well, I'll clean that later. It's a great thing about not using a paintbrush. You don't have to clean it straight away. And I've got stuff everywhere tonight. Okay, now let's work on our focal image while that is drying. So what am I going to do this? I actually want to grab the same stencil, I think, which I've got a pile of my stencils over here. So in doing the new products while I'm looking for this stencil, there will be some lives next week as well. You're loving the blue combination, the colour combination. Yeah, that blue and that turquoise is really, really nice. I sometimes put weird colours together and they sort of work. I don't necessarily stick to sort of warm and cool colours. I'm a bit of a rebel and just pick colours that I like the look of. So what do I want to add? What I thought I'd do is add a bit of colour into these sections by using the stencil and my blending brush. So what colours have I got? Definitely don't do blue because it's there. Don't really want to do that. Why did I grab two blues? That was handy. Oh, let's bring some purple into it. Why not? So yes, along with the release next week, I was saying there'll be a sale on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the 4 days I'll be doing lives, and I'll put some times up as soon as I work them out. So I'm hoping to do 2 lives a day, which will be interesting. Probably one will be like 7 o'clock at night when my day is done. I spend a lot of daytime dealing with adult stuff and doctor stuff for my daughter and NDIS stuff, and oh, I'm sick of all those people lately. And then one will be during the day. Don't know what projects I'm doing yet. I've got to make that up this weekend after I get all those products loaded. Yay! Does someone want to come to my house and upload about 150 products to my website? It's not the funnest job doing them one by one, but oh well. So just taking some archival ink. The reason I'm using archival and not a water-based ink is when I go to glue this down, I don't want my ink to run. And I didn't line that up very well. Why am I using the stencil? I can just go over it like this, because I couldn't match the stencil up. It's probably just my eyesight. Oh, I do like the purple in the background. We'll try to match the stencil up a bit more up here. So I don't want to do every circle. I just want to do, sort of want to do 3. So I'm going to do this one over, and that was not lined up again. I think it's slightly moved on the back. That's why I'm having trouble lining it up. So I love these blending brushes. I use my ink pads a whole lot more with my stencils now that I have my blending brushes. And they're just like, they're the ones with all the tiny little bristles, and they are fantastic for any ink pad really. I use mine a lot with archival because then I go and glue stuff down. I'm just going to turn this around so I'm not leaning over the top of myself. And I might do this circle up here. So if you start off really light, you can get some really nice light blends, and then the harder you go and the more you go over the one spot, you get darker colours, which is really cool. And then I'm just going to take the stencil off and go over it lightly. That stencil is a bit of a prototype one, and it's a bit thicker in its plastic. It's not the stencil plastic I cut stencils from, so sometimes it's a bit hard to get right up to the edge of the stencil. I end up with a lot of prototypes in my stash to play with because I don't like throwing anything out. Now I do like that. Do I want to do some... What do I want to do? I don't know. I'm thinking I want to bring some possibly gold into it. I'm just waiting for my book to dry. It will not take long. Might do some edging. Usually I do this last. Do I want to edge my person? Do I want to edge? I'm going to edge some of these. So this is a Pintor Gold paint pen. Usually I do all my line work last, but I thought why not have a bit of a play now. So this is a paint pen, so when I glue it down again it's going to be permanent. So I'm not going to do every shape. I just thought I'd bring some gold into it. So even though you make gel prints, you don't have to actually use them as they are. You can add to them, you can stamp with them, you can tear them up. It's basically just like making your own pattern paper. Actually, I do like that. Those lines going up. That one's a bit fat, but that'll work. So is everyone crafting this weekend, or you're working or getting up to mischief? Or if you're in Melbourne, you're in lockdown, so you're at home doing homeschooling and all that sort of stuff. I'm in regional Victoria, so we come out of lockdown last, Thursday. It's now Saturday, but I haven't left the house anyway. I've got to go out to the supermarket and the post office on Monday. So I just decided I want to colour in all these vertical lines with the gold because it just adds a bit more of a pop. I am going over the ink, but that's okay. The teenagers declared there's no food in the house. I don't know, kids. There is food, it's just not her favourite food. So her favourite foods are gone, and then apparently there's no food in the house. I don't know. Teenagers, who would have them in the house? Oh, I'm liking that with the gold, except I missed 3 bits. I missed this one over here. I originally wasn't going to do them all, and then I decided I'm going to colour them all in. So I like keeping on my layouts my lines sort of all consistent. So if I've got vertical lines on my layout in the background, I like to have vertical lines, yeah, they are vertical, in my foreground. I've missed one over here. Okay, let's see if our background is type. What type of gold pen is this? This one is a Pilot Pintor. Hang on, I'll type it in the comments. I actually get these ones from Officeworks. I usually use Posca paint pens, but I have found that the white Posca paint pen, if I can spell Pilot, P-O-I-L-T, Pintor Gold paint pen. Sorry, can't type and talk. Paint pen. They may be available other places, but I'm always ordering from Officeworks because I'm always running out of paper and stuff. This one's the fine, the F. The white one is a lot more opaque than so I collecting a few colours. They're not as opaque as I'd like it to be, not as like white. seems to be a bit grey, especially when I put it on darker surfaces. So that one is really nice. And I have the silver one, and I may have just ordered a couple more colours. Oops, they just jump into my shopping cart now. Oh no, that's... No, Amy, you're not interrupting me. I sometimes like to, when I see someone using something, I've got to stop watching YouTube. Generally a product and then we can't get it here and it frustrates me. But any product like Posca pens, but she doesn't actually stock the Pintor ones. I'm just looking to see, I'm wondering, if I stick this on, it's going to go see-through and it's going to go darken it. I'm wondering if I stick it to a bit of paper to lighten it up, because I think I want this to still be bright. Now, of course, I don't have a piece of paper to hand. What have I got? Sorry, just standing up to find. Oh, I think I found a bit. I've got that many boxes of stuff beside my desk. Is it going to be big enough? Oh, that'll be right. Slightly too small. But no, it'll work. It will work. So if I glued this directly on my page, this dark bit here would... I'm just watching that's a bit wet. It will interrupt with here. So what I'm going to actually do is glue it to the white piece of card. So then these areas of light, these areas of white greaseproof paper where there's no paint will stay white. Come on, computer. Sorry, just trying to scroll. For some reason my comments don't scroll as you type them. I've got to grab my mouse and scroll down the comments. I don't know what setting I've put on my computer. Oh, please don't fall, book. Okay, if you could see beyond the filming area, I have a mess. I have to clean it up. I was filming videos today, so I've got stuff everywhere. I'm not a good person to clean up. I should clean up and put back stuff after every project, but I'm not the neatest person. So this is just a piece of, I think this is about 160 GSM white paper from, again, I'll get it from Officeworks, jumps in my cart. It's what I like to use for my stamped images and printed images. So it's a bit thicker than photocopy paper, but it's not too thick, so it won't make my art journal too thick, not like cardstock. I'm hoping that's got on the edges. No, it has to be over. Maybe I'll do it this way. I didn't line it up very well. Let's do it this way, then I can line it up. That works. So you watch my videos of how not to do stuff. I should have picked that bit of paper up. Trying to see through to line the white bit of paper up. Now I'm just going to grab my brayer and squish it, because my brayer is just right next to me. I'm trying not to get the matte medium on the top because I don't want, I don't sort of want the glue on top if I can help it. If it gets there, it gets there. My computer's just done that weird thing. Where's my phone? Usually on my computer, because I do the lives through a webcam on computer, I can see the screen, but for some reason it decides halfway through a video it doesn't want to behave. So I'm just going to pull up the feed on my phone to make sure I can still going. 2 seconds. I can find it on my phone. The only problem is then whoops, thought I muted my phone. Then I'm looking at a delay, but at least I know I'm still going. Technology and me lately just don't work. Technology hates me. I've broken that many things last year and this year with technology and had to replace them. It's not funny. And if someone's going to get a broken product when they purchase it, it's usually me. Do I have scissors? Nope. We're going to do the torn thing. So I'm just going to tear the edge. Should tear fairly easily. It's a little wet from the glue, so it should tear very easily. And if the greaseproof paper tears a little bit down onto the white card, I'm not too worried. I should be good and wait for it to dry, but who's got time to wait for glue to dry? So I'm almost using the paper as a hard edge to tear against, and it's working quite well until I go and stuff it up. Get off my finger. Now I've got this tiny little bit I want to get rid of. So by gluing the greaseproof paper on the white page, I have got my image. Remember to get a bin next time. It'll make me clean up my desk because now I've got bits of paper everywhere. And now I want to tear across this bottom bit. I'm going to fold it and tear it. I didn't bring scissors over. I bought everything else. That's not straight. Hello, helps if I fold it straight, and then I might be able to tear it straight. I wouldn't be able to cut it straight if I had scissors anyway. I didn't want to just tear it without folding it because I didn't want that huge torn look. Oh, it's going to be torn crooked anyway. That's right. We'll just tear the top crooked and then it will match. I don't really aim to get things straight in my art journal or perfectly cut because half the time it doesn't happen and it's not going to happen, so I just go with the flow. Now what? Now I've got all this space over here. I'm wondering what I am going to do. I think what I want to do is bring this design of that stencil over to here to connect that page, whether I do that in ink or whether I use this. Oh no, Tabitha, you get broken stuff all the time. I got the Spotlight special packaging this week. They put plastic containers in a plastic post bag. Oh, yeah, you wonder sometimes who packages stuff for online orders. I've had dreadful stuff come in the mail. They just have no consideration. I actually ordered a keyboard from Officeworks and all the keys had popped off the keyboard and it rattled. So I sent the first one back and it had no packaging in the box. It was just rummaging around with everything else. And then they sent it out again, the same thing. And I said to them, look, would it kill you to put some packaging in the box? Oh, people complain that there's too much packaging in our boxes, so now we don't put any in, any bubble wrap or anything to stop things moving around. We just replace things that get broken. And I'm going, oh. Sometimes wonder about companies. Okay, now what I want to do is extend this pattern beyond the focal image. So this part of the image sort of ties into the background because at the moment there's no sort of connectiveness to this. Just wondering how I'm going to do that. Hi Judy, how are you going? So, I'm wondering if I do have a bit of this, bring a bit of this into the background, or I do some stenciling. Decisions. Because whether I do some stenciling or this is a reverse of that. That's alright. I'll do some stenciling. I'm just going to give this a quick dry so I'm not stenciling on top of acrylic matte medium. Hopefully that is dry enough. So this is going to sort of sit here. I also grabbed some Tim Holtz letter stickers from Ideology that I found I might make a saying up with, which will be rather cool. I bought those ages ago and they got lost in my stash. Am I the only one that does that? Buy stuff and then find stuff years later and go, oh, I didn't know I had that. Do I want to use some of this? And actually, let me do stenciling first and then I'll decide whether I want to do that. I think I want to do it with the purple, maybe. So I want to sort of line this up here because I sort of want it to extend, but I want it to be underneath. I don't know, this all might go wrong in a minute. Where's my blending brush gone? Sometimes in art journaling I have an idea and the idea looks good in my head, sounds good, and I go to put it on paper and it doesn't turn out. But for me, art journaling is not all about the finished process. Like if I get to this end of this page and go, nah, not my best work, not what I like to, well, not my favourite page, not like I like it, but I don't really like it, if that makes sense. I've had fun doing it. I've had fun along the way. I've taken time out of my day and had a play. So you don't always have to produce a masterpiece when you art journal. I think people, especially beginners and things, often get hung up on seeing beautiful work from some artists and thinking that, wow, every page in their art journal has to be amazing. And it just doesn't have to be. Well, that's my philosophy, because, gee, I have some interesting pages in my art journal, I'll put it that way. Often I will get to a page and go, oh, will I add one more thing? And I do, and then I regret it. But I've had fun along the way. I just going over with the blending brush, bring a bit of purple in with the blue. So the archival inks go really nice over the matte gel medium. Any inks do, it's just your spray inks don't like it. I might extend this, oops, I always move it, oh, I'll put it back. So I'm sort of going out over the edge of the stencil. I can always flip it, and where was this? This was going somewhere here. I think that was going like there or somewhere. Just see, I do need to do a bit over this side. So I can always flip this stencil and continue it, which I think I will, across the page. So when I'm doing a double page, I like to, whatever I do on this side of the page, I like to continue over here. So I'm just going to flip this across. So most of my stencils I make are sort of repeating patterns. So you can use them over a larger area even though they are a smaller stencil. And I just want to do this in bits. I don't want to do it fully. A little bit over here, and I just want to fade it as it comes across. So I just want to do it quite lightly and a little bit more up. The problem is when you do it fading, it's hard to see where you are. I'm going to have to bring that gold in to somewhere else on the page as well. So now I've got that purple in the background and in this sort of foreground focal image. Cool stencil. I do like this stencil. This is a really nice one. Actually, it should be on my website. Oh, I'll have to go and check afterwards. I've been diving into my stash and using a lot of older stuff. So I'm hoping it's on my website. If not, it'll be one of the new products going up next week. Oh. I've been, someone asked me the other day how long I've had my laser machine and how long I've been doing laser stuff. And my daughter will be 14 at the end of the year, so that means I had my laser machine over 13 years because I got it when she was 8 months old. I can't believe that I've been laser cutting for over 13 years at the end of this year. Where has that time gone? Now, almost thinking, do I want something over here? As in another, I don't really want another person. Don't know what I want. Maybe a leaf. Let's have a look at a leaf. See, this is where I get in trouble. This is where I'll pick something and then stick it on and go, oh, I don't know what I was thinking. Let's have a look. What? Because I'm thinking that page is a bit blank. Not that leaf. I really like this leaf. I'm wondering if, or do I bring the leaf in with stenciling and make it really subtle instead of, because that's going to compete with my, okay, got an idea. I like the leaf, but that one's too dark. So I'm going to grab my leaf stencil. And then I can do some stenciling. So what colour am I going to do this? And do I want to do it in paint or do I want to do it in no, go away emails. I don't want you up at the moment. My computer says you've got an email. It's probably in a junk mail. Do I want to come in? Oh, I think I do. Okay. Now what colour? Actually, I'm thinking gold. How am I going to do gold? Do I have gold paint? Oh, no, I can do gold paint here. I think. So if I just outline it, because I don't want it to be very... If I do it with paint, I think it's going to be very dark. If I do it with just an outline, we'll start with an outline, and then I will decide if I want to sort of semi-colour it in. So this is my, I think this is called the large foliage stencil. So this is the one you get the mask and the stencil with. So I'm doing quite a few more of those mask and stencil sets because I like playing with both the positive and the negative. Sorry, struggling to see a bit. I can't see what I'm doing, which is nothing unusual. For anyone that doesn't know me, I do actually have low vision, so sometimes if my head comes into the shot, I apologise. I'm not doing it on purpose. I just need to see a bit closer what I'm doing. That is very subtle. Let's make those lines a bit darker. And this gel medium is not quite dry, so I'm hoping I don't stuff up my paint pen. Oh, I'm liking that now. I'm doing a bit more scratchy line over the top. So that's the one thing you've sort of got to be careful of when you're going over the matte gel medium. Usually if I wasn't doing a live, I'd leave it a couple of hours to come back and dry. This particular paint pen is not so important because it's like a bullet tip. You can get other paint pens that have like a metal tip on it. So if you're wanting to buy paint pens, get them that have like... this is all like a felt tip. It doesn't have a metal bit on it. Do I have a metal one? Oh, I do. Can you see this one? No, you probably can't see this one. So this one is a Posca paint pen. This is an PC1MR. And you should be able to see, this one's got a metal tip on it, the Posca one, and then it's got just a tiny little bit of paint pen sort of, I don't know what it is, a felty thing or whatever it is. But this one is all paint pen. So the ones with the metal tips actually will clog up a lot easier when you're doing them over... Oh, thanks, Amy. I am liking this now. I just wanted it to be subtle and not in your face. So yeah, if you're going over wet or semi-wet acrylic matte medium, just be very careful with your paint pens. I have killed that many paint pens. It's not funny. By clogging them up, because the glue will put sort of a crust over... Actually, I'm going to turn my book upside down so I can do this top bit. The matte gel medium or even acrylic paint will put a crust on your paint pen here. I want to do just a little bit up here. Oh, I can't see if I'm in shot. Hopefully I am. Because I can't see on my computer and I have to wait for the delay to come up. And I find I tend to draw a bit quick for paint pens. I have to start slowing down. But my brain also goes quick, so slowing down is not something that I do very often. So just doing the first outline with the stencil and then just going back and doing a bit more sketchy and getting a bit darker. And that will tie that gold in from... Yeah, it was in shot then, from our focal image. So I tend to have a rule, if I have like a colour in the background like the purple, I like to have it in the background and the foreground somewhere in my focal image, like the gold in the background and then the gold in sort of this is my focal sort of foreground. Sometimes I have a middle ground. In this, my middle ground is probably these dark bits of pattern paper. My background is probably the stenciling and the words. So these leaves, because they're over that pattern paper, they're sort of more creeping into the foreground or the front ground, but they're sort of in the background. I know, things in my head just don't make sense. Don't try to understand what goes on in my brain. It's tiring. But if you have sort of stuff in the background, the middle ground and the foreground, it gives your page a bit of depth and a bit of continuity as well. Things don't look as if they're just stuck on. You've sort of thought about them a bit more. Now that's only got two, so I'm going to do a little bit more, so it's sort of a collection of threes, because I like threes better. So now I'm just going to work. Do I want to do it, bring it down, bring it down? I sort of want to bring it down, but I don't want to have it like a huge amount of it, so we might just do this. Actually, I think I like it there. So even though most of this is off the page, it's just going to give you that little bit of look at the branch, but your eye will think, oh, that's going off the page. And I also like to connect things to either something else on the page. So these leaves are connected to the edge of the page, which makes them look as if they're not floating. I don't know, my head can't handle floating things on a page. I have to have things grounded, especially people. I admire other art journalists that just pull off floating really well, but for some reason I just can't do it. It just doesn't work. So I've sort of grounded those to the edge of the page. I'm really liking that. Ooh. It's good when I really like something. Oh, thanks, Amy. It flows quite well. I must be having a good day. You should see some of the stuff that you don't see. I have some shockers. I can have some shocking pages as well. Okay, what else do I want? I think I'm going to put like words or a quote in, sort of scattered in here. Now I'm just wondering, this is blending in a bit, so I'm wondering what I can do to make that pop out a bit. Have I got a piece of, I'm thinking this dark colour, if I've got a piece of, and I think I did, let me bring my papers back in. Oops. Now I've got packaging stuck to everything. I've so got to clean up tonight. I'm wondering if I've got a piece of that dark colour that I can just sit a little bit behind it. All these will go in my one-day box, and one day I'll use them. I have a big one-day box. Now, is it going to be... That's all right, I can tear it down slightly. I'm just wondering, or... do I grab the paint and just edge it? Because I'm just thinking it's blending in a little. I just want to bring this colour just behind it to frame it a little. Or unless I need to frame it just on. Ooh, maybe I only have to frame it on a little bit. Or maybe the side. Because I probably don't want to frame it all the way around. Okay, let's tear this down. Let's get rid of this white paper. And then we'll see how that looks. So I might not frame it like all around. I might frame it on just two sides or something. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe. Just to bring a bit of that darkness into it. Because I think it just needs, and if I butt it up against there, that's sort of framing it anyway. I don't want to stick it too much into the spine of the book. I try to avoid putting a lot of bulky things quite near the spine, just because I don't want it to bulk up. A lot of the times when I'm using the altered books, I go and tear out between 30 and 50% of the pages. And I even do that in commercial journals, like a Delusions journal or a Dina Wakley journal. I will remove a third to a half of the pages. I'll keep the pages because it's really good paper, and I will stamp on them, and I'll do stuff and stick it back in the book. Seems a bit redundant, you pull it out to stick it back in the book. If you don't remove pages like that and you're gluing on sort of each page of the, if you're gluing stuff on either side of each of the pages in the book, your book ends up looking like an alligator, and it looks like an open mouth, and you actually damage your spine, and you can rip your book, damage the spine and have the book no longer a book. I had my first art journal, I did not do that. And now I have two art journals because that book split into two. No, I like that other one. Hi Bronnie, how you going? Looks great, thank you. So these are the gel prints I made the other day in another live. So if you want to see how I made them, you can pop back onto Thursday's live and have a squizzy. Actually, I think I'm putting that over there. Gee, 50 minutes already. God, quick page for me. Usually I'm here for hours. Or I can be here for hours. Oh, I think I'm liking that with a little bit of black, and if I just butt that up against there, that will work. Now, did I grab stuff to glue this down? So this is this greaseproof paper again, so I can glue this down with this acrylic matte medium. And I possibly don't need to use this whole page, but I'm going to stick it on anyway. Hey, it'll use it up and it won't go in my one-day box. So I think I had it there. I could have torn some of these off, but that's all right. The bits that were hidden down. So when I'm gluing a larger page, you can see I'm working from the middle and gluing out. I think I need a bit more glue on the bottom here to get rid of all the wrinkles. Most of this is going to be covered anyway. And I can go over and over this to get the wrinkles out because this is a greaseproof paper. If I was going over and over with a tissue paper or a napkin, you sort of don't want to go over it more than once, especially with a napkin, probably twice with it, rice paper, because this glue gets quite... I'm going to see if I can glue it with this glue. Normally I'd grab my gel medium, but I went to grab it. I've got some Dina Wakley gel medium, which is a little bit thicker in consistency, so this is quite runny. To glue these thicker papers down. This might glue it down. I don't know where I put that. I often grab stuff to craft with and take to retreats or take to other places where I craft or go to Jen's house, and I don't come home and put things back. I'm very bad at that, so I'm trying to have a place for everything, and when I'm finished with it, goes back in that place, so when I go looking for it again, like tonight, looking for my gel medium, it's there, but I don't know where I've done with that little tub of stuff. I haven't unpacked my suitcase from the treat, so it's probably sitting in there. Oh, I was going to move that over, wasn't I? Oh, bar humbug. But now I've got to, no, it's going to sit there, because I was going to butt it up against there, but now it's not going to be, because I stuck it in the wrong spot. Can I get rid of some of this? Yep. Well, we're going to save the day. Oh, we got rid of it. Now I'll put some more glue on. So if this glue doesn't stick it, I will grab some of my thicker matte gel medium. So a good rule is when you're looking at adhesives, the thicker the adhesive or the thicker the consistency, the thicker paper you stick down with it. If I was sticking down cardstock and stuff, like really heavy stuff, I'd go to probably an ultra thick medium, and I'm trying not to get this acrylic medium on the top of my image. There we go. I got in the right spot this time. Managed to save it. Now I might just put a bit around the edges to seal it in. And I didn't have any over there. Let's put a little bit more down here. The whole medium thing and the whole what to use what for, and different brands call the same product different things. It is so confusing when you start out in mixed media to what different medias to use for what, and right, they're the same thing in different tubs and different brands, but they do exactly the same thing, and which brand to choose. I explain it a lot like it's like buying chocolate, because I love chocolate. It's like buying home brand chocolate. It's like buying Cadbury chocolate, or it's like buying Ferrero Rocher chocolate. Each brand has a different price point with your chocolate. Each, like acrylic matte medium, you can buy this one, which is a nice budget brand. You can get Liquitex. I'd love to use Liquitex all the time, but yeah, it's a bit expensive to use all the time. And this one works just as well. If I won $1 million, I'd use Liquitex all the time. And it just depends on how long you want your art journals to last. Liquitex would probably last 50, 100 years and preserve your pages. Do I want my art journal pages to last that long? Probably not. So I use this one. So it just depends on what you want to spend your budget on. Well, I'm liking that. Now what? Now for some word stickers down here. So let's what? So these are all just stickers. Do I want black or do I want white? I don't think I want black. Decision made. Let's go with white. Let's go and see what sort of saying or what sort of thing I can put on it, and then I think I'm just about done. I'm debating whether to do a border around the page. I don't know. Maybe if I do a gold, what I might do is a bit of a gold squiggly border. I don't want to do, oops, Yeah, not gluing pages together would be good. Oh yeah, you don't want to see that next page. That's an attempt at a face that I sort of mucked up. Let's see what I can make up out of here. How about we just do a whole lot of random words? So journey. I will stick these down with a bit of the acrylic medium, or when I find my gel medium. Because I'm sticking the stickers, and these are cardstock stickers, so they're a bit thicker, because I'm sticking them over acrylic matte medium, sometimes the stickiness of them doesn't actually like it. And I'm going to try not to stick them in the spine. I might just put a few words down here. So we've got dreamer, journey. Oh, happiness, a bigger one. So I probably want 2 more so I can have 5. What other words have we got? Blessed, charming, blessed, bigger one. And I probably want a little word down here just to balance it. Maybe I want to move that one over a tiny bit. A little word down here. Calm. Just because I want a little word, that word's going to work. So sometimes I put sayings on my art journal pages, sometimes I don't. Just going to use my stick up big blob there. Use my finger. Oh, I'm so into finger painting lately. So sometimes I put wording on, and I don't know whether these are going to stick because these are quite, oh, if I squish them down. Probably best to use the thicker gel medium on these, but hey, if they come off, I will have to do that. But anytime I use anything, anything that's got pre-adhesive on it, like a sticker or a washi tape, oh, I grabbed washi tape to use. I didn't use washi tape. I will add extra of this this glue or gel medium onto the under the words and on top of them, usually just to seal them in. Especially if I'm sticking it over paint or acrylic matte medium, because the stickers and even washi tape, it's sort of a low tack tape, so it doesn't have stay there. Journey just wants to come off. Yeah, over paint or acrylic medium, as I was saying. You just need to add that extra glue because sometimes it doesn't like to stick things down. Stay. Sometimes they go to slide around. It's fun when you're doing alphabet stickers. They like to slide around a bit too. Now, if I didn't use archival ink in the background, I'd have to be very, very careful when I'm putting this liquid adhesive or this water-based adhesive over the top, because my inking may move if I'd used like a distress ink pad or an oxide or something. That's why I love using my archival ink pads, and I don't have a baby wipe. Yeah, the Tim Holtz words are perfect here. Yeah, I like the Tim Holtz words. I love Delusion's words, but this doesn't really scream her interesting sayings, I'll put it that way. I bought these ones years ago, and I've just rediscovered them in my stash. I've been doing a lot of cleaning and organising lately, and it's amazing what I found that I sort of forgot I had. It's like Christmas. You open a box. I moved house 2 years. Oh, gee, 2 years this month. 2 years next month. Are we in July yet? I think I moved in July. Oh, no, when I moved house, I had 3 shows in like 3 weeks and moved house in 2019. Oh, absolutely nuts. Did a show. I think I come home and picked up keys. I went to another show the following weekend. Then I moved house. Then I went to another big show in August. So I must have moved late July. It was nuts. But, so I'm still unpacking from 2 years ago. Do you ever unpack when you move house? So I'm just going to do a bit of a scribbly border. I'm not going to do it over where my leaves are because I want those to stay in like the foreground. I'm just going to do a little bit of gold around the edge, and I think I'll call it done. Knowing when to stop is something I struggle with. This is very different to what I've done lately, which there's no reason why I do different stuff. I'm just doing a really scribbly border, and I'm just watching where I put that gel medium. Why have I got pink on this page? This must have been from, this bit of pink here on the border was from the other page. So just doing a loopy scribbly border. I'll pop some photos up of this on my Facebook page, some close-ups, after all this glue is dry. what was I going to say? Oh, I shouldn't talk and try to draw at once. So a couple of loopy lines or a couple of sketchy lines that are not straight look better than one straight line. Yeah, I was going to, sorry, I'm going off with the fairies tonight. That's what I was going to say. This is normally not a style I do. I don't know what my style is actually. It's a bit of a mixed up. I often look at artists like Diane Reevely and Delusions, and you can sort of go, you can pick any page and say that's like a Delusions page. You can pick a Dina Wakley page. You can pick a Neve Bailey page without knowing they're them because they have a certain style. And I'd love someone to look through my journals and try to pick my style because it's a bit of a mismatched sort of fun. I try a bit of everything. Oh, I'm very happy with that. That is really, really cool. So that's one way to use your gel prints. And I will go double check that this is on my website. If not, I'll have to go find the file. Because this one is probably one of my first prototypes because it's the thicker stencil from many, many moons ago when I started laser cutting. Okay, thank you very much for spending. Love the hand-drawn board, especially with the gold. Gorgeous finish the journal. Oh, thank you so much, Amy. And lovely. Yeah, the gold just finishes. I border probably 95% of my pages, whether it's just a scribbly line, which is my go-to when I can't think of what else to do, or whether it's a bit of a stenciled border, and it just adds to your page, and it doesn't have to be very in your face. It doesn't have to be a huge, I won't show you that one. Well, those aren't bordered. Okay, I lied. Most of these ones aren't bordered. It can be just an inked image. No, I can't find an example of one I was going to do. No. So it can be just a slight border and it finishes it off. Thank you very much for spending some of your Saturday night. It is Saturday night with me. I have got to go do some work. Either finish filming a video or go and edit 150 photos. Or go to bed. That sounds even better. Nice, tuck up, nice warm in bed. Doesn't get the work done. And watch out on the Facebook page. I will post some times for the lives that I'll be doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of next week. And I'll be posting all about the sale. And I'll be doing sneak peeks of some of the new products over the next couple of days as well. So I have loads to do. Thank you very much for spending your Saturday night with me. And I'll pop some of these photos up on the page as well, on the Facebook page. Bye for now. Bed sounds good to me too. It's so cold, or it is, Tabitha. Maybe I go sleep on Alexis's room that's got the heater in her bedroom. I don't have one of those yet. I've got a heater in the lounge room, but it's not doing real well because it's over the other corner because it got put over there so it didn't make enough noise in the live. I think I'll go sit in front of the heater. Maybe I'll move my computer to in front of the heater and sit and edit those photos. Thank you very much everyone for watching and have a lovely weekend. Bye.